Paul, we are here today. We are chatting about what you're doing with Rapid Fluidics. Paul, what are you doing with your business at the moment?
So I am the CEO and one of the founders of Rapid Fluidics. We've been going for just shy of 5 years. It's our anniversary in 3 weeks' time. So we'll be celebrating that, which is cool. We specialize in design and rapid production of microfluidic systems, which is a niche within a niche. We are fairly unique in the world. There are actually 2 other companies doing similar stuff in the Northeast. So there's a bit of a hub going on here, which is very cool. We work with life science companies around the world, all sorts of stages, from academic research groups, early stage startups, all the way up to global pharma. And it's exciting times at the moment.
So most people watching this video will have no idea what you do, Paul. What are microfluidics?
It's exactly what the name sounds like, small amounts of fluid. So manipulation of small amounts of fluid, looking at things like point of care molecular diagnostics, drug delivery, drug discovery things, automation of reproductive health systems. We work in biodefense, in space technology, but it's ultimately to do with manipulation of small amounts of liquid. So identifying individual cells, looking at DNA modifications and so on.
Okay. And you've not always done this. How did you get into this world? Because it is, when you talk about like a handful of companies doing this globally, how do you end up doing this type of work?
It's, chance, really. One thing leading to another. My background is mechanical engineering. As you know, I graduated from Newcastle University some 25 years ago.
A great university.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've worked in various aspects of engineering. I actually started off my career in microfluidics. Bizarrely, I didn't even know it at the time. My first job was working for an industrial inkjet printing company in Cambridge when I was making microfluidic systems for inkjet printing. And then I've moved into, spent a few years doing an applications engineer for CAD software. So in doing tech support, pre-sales, demos and training, pro engineer. Worked for a couple of companies, one in Cambridge, one in Auckland, New Zealand, doing that. After a while doing that, I wanted to get back into proper engineering, moved back to the Northeast and got into offshore engineering with EB, which is a world away from this. And that's where I properly learned about engineering. All the theory I learned at university became real. And did that for a while. Got into FEA consultancy for another few years, working with a company in Hexham. And that was the point where I think it was when I applied to get chartered, I realized I wanted to do something different. I was feeling that I needed to do something a bit more worthwhile with my life, with my career, and wanted to get into life science. And then through a mutual friend of ours, Ben Towell, I was introduced to a diagnostics company, diagnostics startup here in Newcastle, who were looking to bring their engineering in-house, company called Quantum DX. And that was the development of a portable point-of-care molecular diagnostic system. And it was the process to get the disposable cartridge developed that led me into microfluidics.
And given that you started a career, Paul, as an engineer, do you think of yourself now as an engineer, or do you think of yourself as a CEO?
It's a blurry kind of line, isn't it? The hardest part of my career, this whole step, I think, was a few years ago when I gave up my SolidWorks license.
No,
I had to stop doing design. And that was down to just delegation. As the company grows, I've had to delegate it out. One of the most random, honest bits of information I ever heard, bit of advice, was the role of a founding CEO is to make yourself redundant. And when I was told that, I kind of thought, nonsense, that doesn't mean anything. Why would I want to be redundant? I get it now. I totally get it. As we've grown the company and I can bring other people in to delegate away, yes, I could do the engineering, but actually I need to drive the company.
And what does the company look like now?
So at the moment we are 6 full-time.
Okay.
We're lucky enough, we've got a couple of wonderful student interns helping us out over the summer, helping us on both the engineering and the sales and marketing side of things. So we have a team of 1, 2, 3 engineers, an application engineer, myself, my COO, Martin Thompson, who manages the day-to-day operations. We've got a couple of people, fractional people in the States, helping us on the biz dev side of things over there.
All right. How's that working for you?
It's really well, really good. So we've had someone for a few years. Lisa has been she's up in Maine, and she handles our inbound sales, handles the social media, handles the CRM, that kind of thing. And then more recently, in the last 6-8 months. We took on a fractional biz dev director in San Francisco. Obviously, the Bay Area biotech market is massive.
Yeah, huge.
The opportunities there.
So that is relevant. So for people watching this video, how do you break into international markets where you don't have a physical office presence, but you want to be very active? How has that worked with fractional people?
Having the fractional people on board is great, because it means you've got somebody there, somebody in roughly the right time zone, so you can continue a conversation. Ultimately, through online marketing, social media, and international trade shows, that's enabled us to reach out to a much wider audience than you'd be traditionally restricted to. And we have to. Ultimately, the service we offer is so niche. We have got some great customers in the Northeast. We've got some great customers across the UK. We need more for us to survive. So we've got customers, as I say, across Europe and across North America. So it's useful having the fractional people there, and we're looking to increase that presence. We're looking at setting up manufacturing over in the States.
Oh, wow.
Just to really speed up the process.
More on the printing side?
Yes, yeah. Ultimately, we make small things. There's no problem to physically ship them.
Yes.
But one of our key USPs is the ability to make parts really quickly. We can offer a bespoke component for multiple iteration development for our customers literally in 24 hours. If we go from a conversation to having a part on a lab bench in 24 hours. And that's our USP. And that's great, except if you then have to spend 3 days shipping it across to the States, and then it has to get through customs,
yes,
which can be really quick. Sometimes it's not. And as we're picking up more and more business, the realization that if we had a manufacturing site over there, we could work out how to do it over here, and then it's simply sharing the data, load up a machine remotely, have one person over there basically monitoring what's going on, press go, parts get spat out of the machine.
Yeah. And when we talk about trade shows, many people won't know that you go to many of these with a camper van. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. And when I can, certainly the Medica in Germany is a big one. It's the bootstrap startup mentality of saving money wherever possible. And one of the mantras that I live by is beg, borrow, and steal. Finding ways of doing things on the cheap to get by. And I realized that actually there's a trade show in Dusseldorf every November, Medica Compomed, which is 17 halls of medical technology. It's massive. But because it's so big, the hotels put the prices up. You're looking at €350 a night for a hotel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And actually from here, it's dead easy. You jump on the overnight ferry to Amsterdam, drive 3 hours down the road to Dusseldorf, and you can camp in the car park for €35 a night.
It's brilliant.
And so
really you just wanted a camper van though, didn't you? Just
Yes, yeah. It justifies it. And I've definitely saved money by using it. And that van gets me up and down the country. It breaks down from time to time. But
I find this funny because I've actually had the same thoughts. You go, I've got a conference in Amsterdam soon, and you go to London or other places, and I know it's not ideal London because it would mean you'd be quite far out, but just being able to take all your stuff or drive places. I think the problem I always find is when you're doing US trips, it's impossible. You can't obviously take anything, but it's be amazing to have your own wheels.
Yeah. It's a small van. It only works if it's me on my own. I wouldn't, if I was taking a colleague with me, it's a bit too cozy for that.
Yeah. No, that's good. Everyone talks about the journey, Paul, of a startup, and some people think it's really easy and fun. What's it really like trying to scale? Because you started with essentially you in a room, didn't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
And how do you go from that to where you are to you're now at the point where you're starting to scale, but how's that gone?
It's stressful and it is insanely hard work. Anyone who thinks you can just start a company and live the life and rake in the cash, you can't. And yes, you might be able to raise, through investment, lots of money and live that life, but actually raising investment is a really hard process. So
have you actually raised investment?
We've taken some. So a few years ago, we received an Innovate UK Smart Grant to continue the research on our systems. And I had to match from that with I basically had to find £150,000.
Okay.
So I figured there's a good opportunity to learn about investment. So we've taken on some angel investment, and our investors are really, they're on board. They're so supportive. They're really good mentors for me. And it's not a huge amount of investment. I've always been based on being revenue generating.
Yes.
It was, I wouldn't have started a business if I didn't think there was an opportunity to sell a service, a product.
So not just a blue sky concept, you're very interested in products and services.
It came from a genuine unmet need. When I was, running the engineering at Quantum, there's a need to develop these prototypes quickly, and nobody could provide that. That's why we set up the PhD at Newcastle University, came up with this process, and that gave us the ability to form the company based on that. And when I started, looking around for the next challenge and talking to lots of other companies doing similar things, I realized there's an unmet need. So that gave me the confidence to get things going. And it was a slow start, a very slow start. Initially, the three of us who founded the company, we bought a 3D printer, and we were making parts. We were working late nights around our other contracts, our other jobs, make a few parts, sell a few parts, make a few more, sell a few more. And we did that for a year or so. Then we got to the point where we took on our first engineer. He joined us as a student intern over the summer. And we then took him on permanently, which meant I then committed full time to manage things from then.
Well, let's go back in time a bit. So when you talk about angel investors, there will be many people watching us that have raised angel finance, but many who won't. What is the key to finding angels, and how do you get your pitch deck right and get in the best position for raising finance?
So the way I went about it was obviously Google. Looked into it, thought, how do I learn about this? And that was, if I'm honest, way back before I started it, when I was looking at some other jobs to do. I remember seeing a job advertised where they wanted someone experienced engineer, experience in the life science sector, all the rest of it, experience of raising investment. I thought, well, I've not done that. I need to find a way to release that opportunity. So I got onto a webinar about learning to raise. It was hosted by a super network, what they call them?
Innovation
Super Network, yeah. So they hosted a couple of webinars. And again, this was during COVID, so everything was remote anyway. And I did a couple of webinars learning about how to ask for money, how to raise, how to put a pitch deck together. And off the back of that, I was invited to an online pitching event. So I pulled together my pitch deck, and it was done online. Just very strange situation, because you're sat there facing a screen. Everybody's got their cameras off. And the advantage is, on my second screen, I've got my spreadsheet with numbers, and I know exactly everything's there. But you're talking, and you're given your pitch deck, and you can count yourself down exactly 5 minutes, 15 minutes. Off the back of that, somebody came along and said, I'd like to give you some money.
Oh, wow. So that was an angel that you'd never met?
Yep. Never met.
You're
part of that network.
Right. I always assumed that most of the angels that invested in you were people that you knew.
No.
Okay.
No. So that was, David came on board at that point. I then did it again and met Richard, who put, basically matched the same amount of money.
Wow.
And they've been so supportive of what we're doing. And it's great seeing their backgrounds. Richard, especially, who's local, he's not involved in life science. He's not involved in additive manufacturing. He just sees a commercial opportunity.
What do your angels like about working with you, and how is their background relevant to what you're doing?
So I think in me, in Rapid Fluidics, they see a business opportunity. They've given tens of thousands of pounds based on a low valuation, and looking at the value of the company, with the idea that in 5-10 years' time, the company will be worth, hopefully, 10 times more.
Okay.
And whether there is an exit, so an acquisition, or whether we continue to grow and we get to the stage where all of a sudden we're profitable, we're taking dividends, and they start to get their money back. And that's ultimately what I want to give them.
So what does the future look like for your business, Paul? If I'm sat here in 5 years' time and you have acquired all the companies and partners that you want to work with, how big could this get?
It could get big. The market research, the numbers that get spat out every year about the size of the microfluidic market, it varies obviously. During COVID, when the diagnostics boom was there, its value is huge, huge growth. It's now, I think it's something like $15 to $20 billion annually, with a CAGR of about 13-15%. So it's steadily growing. There are more applications. We're finding other aspects, other sides of things. Recently, we've sent parts into space. We've sent parts on the ocean.
Yeah.
So the space one is to do with automation of IVF in space. Long story, great project, really interesting.
I think I did hear about this. I didn't know you were working on that.
Okay. Yeah. So we're working with a Dutch company who are automating IVF in space.
Makes you wonder why on earth you'd need IVF and stuff. But I know
Long story.
it's a long story.
Yeah, but then we've recently sent stuff to parts of the bottom of the ocean, looking at analysis of seawater. So again, it's moving away from the medical diagnostics, but there's still ultimately manipulation of small particles in challenging environments. And the benefit of using additive manufacturing in this case is A, we can make the parts quickly, and B, we can make geometry that you simply can't make any other way without having to commit to tooling costs.
Brilliant.
So where it's going to go, we're looking at scaling up. We're looking at bringing in other manufacturing technologies beyond 3D printing, which enables us to get into thermoplastic forming, which then opens up a wider market, and looking at higher volumes, not necessarily mass manufacturing. I'm not looking at competing with the people who are injection molding 10 million parts a year, but we want to be able to offer 10,000, maybe 100,000, that kind of quantities of components.
Tell me the best thing you love about being a startup founder as this journey goes on, or anything that's happened so far.
I absolutely love the independence.
Yeah,
I
massively relate to that. Yeah. Tell me about that for people that are watching.
So when you kind of look back over my career, the managers I've had, and there's been some good managers and some less good managers. And actually, when you look back to think how I was at school, and again, good teachers and bad teachers, and actually there weren't bad teachers and there weren't bad managers, it was me. And when I look at how my own children are these days and how they respond to what's needed, and I can recognise actually, I like the independence. I like having the control. I do answer to my investors. Obviously, I've got a responsibility. I want to make them some money in due course.
Have you started to feel like you're unemployable?
Probably. I'll be careful what I say here, because who knows what the future holds.
It's part of the journey, though, isn't it? You get to that point where I guess you think, I love this independent. I love that I can create ideas, employ people, move. And then you think, gosh, I would be a nightmare to be employed in corporate, early days in Siemens or.
You asked earlier about whether I see myself as an engineer or as a CEO. And I do consider that engineering background as being essential to who I am today. But I'm not an engineer.
Yeah.
I'm a CEO. I manage the company and I enjoy it.
Do you find that your appetite for risk is increasing as you see wins on the journey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That is interesting.
You kind of, ultimately, I'm a believer that to survive is to grow. And to grow, you need to find a way of doing that.
Yes.
So that's why I will be so active of any opportunity I can get to get out there and talk to customers, find people. That's why I like the trade shows and the conferences.
Do an interview.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, things like this. It's a great way of just, growing the network.
I think the privilege for me is, there are so many amazing businesses like yours, Paul, where people just don't know that you exist.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a loving way, as in, it's not like you've got the brand of Microsoft, but you're doing amazing technology, you're niche, you're a key supplier to key sectors. But even beyond that, you're part of an ecosystem here where you're doing amazing things.
Yeah. And there's a growing life science biotech ecosystem in the Northeast, and I'm proud to be here. It's great. Yes, we're not as big as the Northwest environment. We'll never be as big as Cambridge. But what's happening in the Northeast, around here, with the Helix and the Biosphere and everything coming out of the university, and then obviously you've got Teesside, you've got Sunderland and Durham. There's so much going on. It's great.
Absolutely. When are you most creative?
Probably when I'm commuting, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, when I'm sitting on the road bike spinning along. And that's when I'm thinking of things and
trying to get those ideas.
Yeah. And there's a lot that's come from those times.
Good. So Paul, many people will be watching this video and they'll think, Paul is a nice guy. Wouldn't it be great if I could help Paul? What if I could bless you with anything at all, whether it's new customers or facilities or anything? What could the network that's connected with this serve you with?
Right now, and obviously I know your network is international, but also very much on the Northeast. We are looking for new property, and we're struggling to find something that really suits us. We don't need a factory. We need office conditions, environmental conditions, but in a cleanish room. So if anyone has a 2,000 square foot building, we can divide half into an office and half into an insulated clean workshop area, that'd be great. Preferably Newcastle Centre or West End of Newcastle. Let's see where we go.
Okay. And if that was to go broader beyond any endless resources or fractional introducers, BD people?
I say we're looking to scale up in the States as well. We had a great year last year in the States. More than half our revenue came from the USA.
Brilliant.
Obviously, the situation at the moment, things have changed a little bit. They've been a bit more restrictive, so we haven't grown as much as we wanted to. We have continued to grow. And if we can set up manufacturing over there, I think that makes more sense, just to speed things up. And maybe we'll end up growing another team over there as well, because the market is great. So traditionally, our US customers have been basically more willing to spend money than European customers. It's just the way things go. And I want to be on the receiving end of that money.
Yeah, we find that as well, which is why we're very active in the States.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's a good market. So Paul, obviously we'll come back and meet again and chat more and find out how it all goes. And if people are watching this and they want to connect up with you, Paul, are you a generous guy? Do you like to have a coffee?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to talk to anyone and everyone about everything. Find me on LinkedIn, and I'll hammer your LinkedIn feed from now on.
Brilliant. Paul, it's been a delight. Lovely to see
Always.
you, and we'll chat more.
Yeah,
Thanks, Paul.
definitely.
Take care. Bye-bye.